Hi everyone, welcome to day 25 of the 30-day strength challenge. So today, like yesterday, we're going to continue the theme of developing power through a greater range of motion. The main muscles that we're going to target today are the hip flexors. This is of course an area of weakness for a lot of people, particularly if you have an office job where you're sitting in this position all day. You're obviously going to shorten those muscles and chronically weaken them. This might show in your running technique. For example, you might have this anterior tilt of the pelvis, so as your hip flexors pull that pelvis forward, and then you might also have a lordosis in the lower back and your bum sort of sticking out a bit when you run. Likewise, if you have got a weakness in the hip flexors, particularly if you don't have that sort of range of being able to bring your knee up really high, a lot of runners I see do actually struggle to clear the floor when they're running along, so they're barely actually being able to lift their knee up at all, which is of course really bad for our efficiency on our stride, because of course the higher we can bring our knee up, then obviously the further we're going to be able to get, whereas if we barely clear the floor, we're obviously going to come in contact with the floor again a lot sooner, so we won't get as far. We're also going to cover lots of other muscle groups as well, so again we're going to practice this all important core engagement, and we're also going to develop all of the muscles that are required for a powerful triple extension, so this movement where you push yourself up through the air, so our glute muscles, our quads, and also our calves as well. So it's going to be a good all-round sort of workout really. There's going to be three different exercises that I'm going to do. So one's going to be sort of a very low impact exercise for anyone who's got any injuries. There's also going to be sort of a medium-ish sort of impact one, and sort of a higher impact activity, which is also arguably a lot more specific to our running technique as well. So the first exercise that we're going to do is the mountain climber. So this is something that you've probably done before, but essentially just to recap all the key technical points, we want to start off really in a plank position, okay? Before we do this, a lot of people tend to have their bum really far up in the air like this, and then when they start doing the exercise, they're really far up. Now your bum might be a little bit higher than it is in a normal plank, just to stop your knees from brushing against the floor and obviously potentially whacking your knees there and hurting yourself. So I don't mind if it's a little bit further up, just to allow that sort of ground clearance, but obviously don't make it so it's excessive and we're all the way up here or anything like that, okay? It's not a downward dog like in yoga. Also, we want to avoid making the mistake of bringing our knees across. So imagine I'm in this position and my knees coming across like that. That's going to shorten the groin muscles and limit how much power we're actually getting from our glutes. So we want to engage our glutes by having that knee coming up and tracking towards the shoulder on the same side. So this wants to be a really nice powerful movement to get that power and that range, okay, and we're going to do it as fast as we possibly can. So my challenge for that one is to see how many you can do in a minute. If you want a lower impact alternative for that one, then again we go into our plank position and we're essentially going to bring our knee up to the elbow. So this is obviously working your abs as normal as you would in a plank, but also you're going to start to engage your oblique muscles on the side as well. So that's an alternative for you to play around with, or of course you can do that one in conjunction with the mountain climbers. The other alternative, like I say, is going to be a bit more specific to running. So we're going to do the high knee drill. It's better in my view because although it's sort of higher impact, we are obviously upright and we are weight bearing a bit more, which of course is what running is going to resemble a lot more, rather than obviously being on the exercise mat. Key technical points, again, we want to be nice and upright with our core. Some people make the mistake of actually leaning back in order to try and get their knee up a bit higher, which obviously isn't good. Okay, so we want to really keep tight through the core and then have that knee coming up like so. If it helps, just imagine that there's a helium balloon on top of your head and it's just pulling you nice and upright. Okay, so likewise, we don't want you leaning forward like that either. So core engagement, also we want to have as much of a range as we possibly can through the muscles. So again, like I mentioned, it's no good barely just coming off the ground, because that's not really going to do anything. We want to have the knee coming up as high as possible. That's going to work the hip flexors through their best possible range, and also the glutes as well, because as we come up with our knee, the further we come up, the more it's going to stretch through this glute, and therefore it's going to give us a bit more of an elastic energy through that glute. It's like pulling an elastic band, so the more we stretch it, the more it sort of it pings back with more force, obviously, when we let go. So essentially, when the glute comes up, we release that energy. It allows us to push through the floor with greater force, and allows us to power on with a lot more force as well. Okay, so they're the main sort of technical points here. So again, same rule applies. Just see how long you can maintain the power for. Okay, so you hopefully get the idea there. One key point as well that I just forgot to mention is the arms. Okay, so a lot of people just they focus a lot on their legs and what their knees are doing, but they forget about their arms. And as you can see right now, my arms aren't moving very much. So we want a nice range through those arms as well, but also with as little tension as we can possibly have, because we don't want to be really tense through our shoulders. We want to just let the momentum take our arms as much as we can. So that's obviously going to help with our speed and also our balance as well. See how you get on. Keep liking, commenting on the statuses, etc. And I'll see you tomorrow.